Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Girl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Well, you know what? I could sit around and pretend like I'm feeling some kind of way about Joe Manchin not voting with us, but when has he ever voted with us? And we saw that 49 of our senators were ready to pass women's reproductive health. But unfortunately, 50 Republicans and 1 Democrat decided that a woman does not and should not have autonomy over her body. And as you guys know, I normally have candidates on, but today I want to talk about, like last week, we had our show on, what we needed to, what the results were of the campaigns, of the primary races. Now, today, I want to talk about why it's important for us to galvanize around all of our Democrats that won their primary so that we can get involved and help them win these races. Because the bottom line is, y'all can pretend like our lives don't depend on it, but they really do. Okay, so let's just go to the vote last night. You heard what happened. We'll listen to the VP. What'd she say?
On this vote, the yeas are 49, the nays are 51. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to. The majority of the American people believe in defending a woman's right, her choice, to decide what happens to her own body. And this vote clearly suggests that the Senate is not where the majority of Americans are on this issue. It also makes clear that a priority for all who care about this issue, a priority should be to elect pro-choice leaders at the local, the state, and the federal level. Because what we are seeing around this country are extremist Republican leaders who are seeking to criminalize and punish women from making decisions about their own body.
So that's real talk, y'all. They are wanting to criminalize your choice on what you do. They want to criminalize people who want to help you execute your choice. In Missouri, they're trying to pass legislation, or they wrote legislation to make it illegal to leave the state to go have an abortion. I don't even understand how that works. I don't even understand how you can create a law, or what your mindset is, where you can actually create a law, write it down, or create some legislation, write it down to say that a person does not have the right to travel wherever they want to go. But these are the things that are happening, y'all. And if we do not get involved, we will have, well, you know what? Elon said it better. I'm going to let her tell you, because sometimes y'all don't be listening to me.
It's shocking to me that all of this is being championed, and it's coming from a party that believes in small government, a party that talks about freedom, liberty. And this is the party now that wants to do everything that they can to tell women what decisions they can make about their reproductive rights. They want somebody like Senator Ted Cruz regulating your uterus. They want Senator Chuck Grassley having authority over your body. We have to say no.
People are telling you what's happening. A bunch of old people who can't bear children, or some women who have not come to terms with the fact that they can do what they want to with their body, are trying to tell you what you should do with yours. Now, hear me out. Nobody has to like an abortion. Nobody has to think it's a great idea. No one has to believe that it should be a thing, but it's not your choice. So if you don't like, or do not want, or do not desire an abortion, then don't have one. But how dare you try to prohibit someone else from seeking whatever reproductive health they require? And it just doesn't go there. It doesn't stop there. You've heard it. You've heard it. They're coming after gay marriage. The way the judge wrote it was, any right that isn't specifically mentioned in the Constitution is subject to not be a right. I want you guys to wrap your heads around that. And I know you guys get a little discouraged because you're like, we voted these Democrats in. We have a Democratic majority in all three branches. And why can't we get this done? I get it. I definitely understand your frustration because I'm frustrated too. I don't understand why we can't get Joe Manchin to get in line, but I know what it is. He's not really a Democrat. We know this, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Y'all know me. I don't trip on Democrats. But he's not one. And he hasn't voted with Democrats. He's done everything he can. He's done everything that he could and can do to prevent Joe Biden from proceeding with much of his agenda. So here in Indiana, we know at the federal level, these things are going to take place, right? So it's imperative that we show up to the polls and send people to the state house, because that's where it's going to all come from, right? Send people to the state house who are going to then write legislation that is going to be beneficial to women, to our trans youth, to heck, anybody for that matter. And if you think that it's just an isolated incident when it comes to abortion, because that's what Alito said it was, oh, this is only specific to abortion. No. You know, Rick Scott, who is in charge, he's the person in charge of electing Republican senators this election cycle, came up with a plan. He has an 11-point plan. And in this 11-point plan, this is the blueprint. This is the blueprint that they're going to use if they win these elections and if they can take control of the House and Congress. But tonight I wanted to go line by line on that 11-point plan, because I don't think, when I first read it a couple months ago, I thought, this ain't real. And he's the only one. But no, this is their plan. This is what they want to do. And maybe you guys haven't taken a deep dive into it, and that's cool. But today I'm going to take a deep dive. Now, heads up, this will be my last show for a couple of weeks. I'm going on vacation, and we will have candidates back on so that we can get geared up for the general election. So look for new candidates to come on the show. But this is the last show for the next 2 weeks. But I wanted to go down line by line because I want this opportunity to explain to all of the listeners why it is so important that we get involved, because this is their plan when they get elected. So his first bullet point, I ain't gonna lie to you, the first time I read it, I was like, is he serious? And I had to stop reading it because I couldn't believe what I was actually reading. We will inspire patriotism and stop teaching the revisionist history of the radical left. Our kids will learn about the wisdom of the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Founding Fathers. Public schools will focus on the 3 R's, no indoctrinating children with critical race theory or any other political ideology. See, I kind of hate to break it to my man, but the idea that you are suggesting that we have to adhere and inspire patriotism suggests that if you don't just tell the truth about who we are as a nation, that doesn't inspire patriotism. You're saying that if you tell the truth about what's been going on in this nation, people won't be patriots, but that's not true. We know that that's not true. See, to me, this is exactly what indoctrinating children is all about. So let me go down through some of the points. Parents, not government, will choose the best schools for their kids. So that's complete school choice. That means all public dollars could go to private institutions who do not have to educate our kids. We will enact equal opportunity in education, school choice. No child will be sent to a failing school simply because of their zip code. Well, how about not having a failing school regardless of the zip code? How about that? Wouldn't that be something? Kids in public schools will say the Pledge of Allegiance, stand for the national anthem, and honor the American flag. We may foster national unity. See, that right there is already a violation of my First Amendment rights. I have the right to say and do what I want, and if I choose not to stand for the national anthem, that's my First Amendment right. But he just got through saying he wanted us to have value in the Constitution by first denying our First Amendment right to protest, to not stand for the national anthem, or say the Pledge of Allegiance. This is what they want. They are trying to tell you, you are going to be forced in school. The government is going to control what you do in schools. We will open our schools to parents, which they already are. Ask a teacher. Parents must have the right to know what their children are being taught, who is teaching them, and which organizations are receiving school contracts. Well, first of all, how many schools are receiving contracts? All the money should be going to the school. What else you got going on? The FBI, the DOJ, and all government entities will be expressly forbidden from intimidating parents who dare speak their mind at school board meetings. Get out of here. Really? Public schools will teach our children to love America because, while not perfect, it is exceptional. It is good, and it is a beacon of freedom and in an often dark world. Come on. No child will be taught they are inherently racist. I'm not going to read any more of that. It really frustrated me, right? Teachers' tenure in public schools must be eliminated because it protects inadequate teachers, not good teachers. I say term limits, term limits on these elected officials. We will not allow political or social indoctrination in our schools. Teachers who refuse to comply will need to find a new job. No public school will be allowed to discriminate against voluntary prayer or force children to check their faith at the door. Again, they say this, but I cannot wait to our little sisters who wear the hijabs and they practice the Muslim faith, decide they need to leave class 5 times or 3 times, however many times a day they need to, so they can go say their prayer. I don't want to hear nothing. If this is what they talking about, but that's not what they mean. Y'all know that. They're not talking about everybody else's religion. They're talking about their religion. We will close the Federal Department of Education. That's going to be some people losing some jobs. It will be America's goal to be #1 in the world in math and science by 2030. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I would like for that to be a thing too, so I'm not going to say that I disagree with that. But you have to have well-rounded students who are also good world citizens. You have to have well-rounded people to, make the world a better place. So yes, math and science is incredibly important, but the social aspects of educating kids, meaning being good people, it's a thing you should learn too. But this is their plan for school, y'all. They're going to make your kid whether you want them to or not. Because, see, First Amendment rights, the Constitution, that just went out the door with point number 3. Kids in public schools will say the Pledge of Allegiance. If I had a kid, out of spite, I would tell my kid not to do it. Just out of spite. Because I'm simple like that. I know it. All right, let's go on to point number 2. Point number 2. Point number 2 says we are going to eliminate racial politics in America. I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do that. How are they actually going to eliminate racial politics in America? But no government policy will be based on race. People will not be judged by the color of their skin. And of course, they always pull out that one line from MLK that they love so much, but they hated him. We will not judge them on the color of their skin, but the content of their character. We are all made in the image of God. To judge a person on the color of their epidermis is immoral. Oh, Jesus. But he just also said that he wanted America to be #1 in math and science, but he wants to ignore the numerical facts of how that in this society, people of color are disproportionately hurt by policies that have been put in place. So I get what you're saying, but I'm sorry. I don't want to be Manila. I want you to see my color, and how dare you tell me that I shouldn't be seen for who I am? I don't get that part. But let me hit some of the points in this. We will stop dividing people by race, skin color, ethnicity, or country of origin, which is an immoral or corrosive habit of woke crowd. I don't think it was the woke people that did redlining. I don't think it's woke people who are denying people of color mortgages. I don't think it's woke people who discriminate against with stop and frisk. It's not woke people. We will be in a nation where people will be judged by the content of the character, not the color of the skin. Again, I'm going to need them to stop quoting that. If they're going to quote King, talk about what he was doing for poor people. Quote that. Ban the box. Government will not ask American citizens to disclose their race, ethnicity, or skin color on any government form. Okay, I'll go with that. But how are you going to track to make sure that people are getting equal opportunity if you don't know who's in that space? Never mind. There we go with those pesky numbers again. No government policy can be based on race or ethnicity. Our military will engage in zero diversity training. I'm sorry, didn't mean to laugh. Our military will engage in zero diversity training, teaching or critical race theory, or any woke ideology indoctrination that divides our troops. Our fighting forces must be completely united and completely colorblind. So how can you be a cohesive unit if you don't actually take the time to understand who you're working alongside? Everyone has different lived experiences. And so we're saying we're going to take all these people from all these different places all over the country, put them in a unit and say, nope, we're not going to teach you about each other. What? Stop it. I don't know about you. Every time I read this stuff, I feel like all they're trying to do is brainwash us into believing a thing that we may or may not believe. That's what I'm getting out of this. Military leadership that prioritizes racial politics over the security of our country must be relieved of their duties, whatever. Scott, we know that you're not finna get up and pick up a gun and go fight a war, so why are you tripping? Colleges and universities that favor or discriminate against students based on race or ethnicity in the application process will be ineligible for federal funding and will lose their tax-exempt status. Okay, y'all already know they've been doing it. So now all of a sudden they're going to penalize. No, stop. Government will base hiring decisions on qualifications, not quotas of any kind. By the way, the government is the largest employer of people of color. So I'm just going to put that out there. America will strive to provide equal opportunity for everyone, but will not guarantee equal outcomes. That's what happens when you have a generation that gets participation trophies. That's all I'm saying. We simply do not give a damn what color anyone's skin is. That's the colorblind future America deserves. He literally wrote in the plan, we simply do not give a damn. So basically they're saying, those of you who are proud of who you are, proud of the culture that you live every day, how you exist in the world is no longer relevant. It no longer should be seen. It should be whitewashed away. That's what he is saying. And we need to stop that. We need to be seen. The difference is you can see my color. I don't want you to be colorblind. I want you to see me. Just don't treat me poorly because I look different than you do. That's all I'm saying. All right. That's number 2. Let's go on to number 3, shall we? I know. Are y'all entertained? I know I was when I was reading this. We will enforce our laws, all of them, and increase penalties for theft and violent crime. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to need you to go hold accountable the people who stormed the Capitol, who orchestrated the insurrection, and who were trying to overthrow the government. Oh, but you're not going to do that because one of those people is married to one of the Supreme Court justices. Stop it. And we will clean up our cities and stop pretending that crime is okay. Nobody said crime was okay, dog. And that's one of those dog whistles, right? That's one of those, well, they must be okay with it in their community. Nobody is okay with that. We have zero tolerance for mostly peaceful protests that attack police officers. Zero tolerance for mostly peaceful protests that attack police officers, loot businesses, and burn down our cities. But notice it didn't say storm the Capitol and toss feces all over the place, hanging a noose and wanting to get Mike Pence. None of that is mentioned in here. Okay? I just want you to be good about that. We will fund the police and stop all efforts to defund or re-image policing. Why? It's not working for people of color, but y'all don't care about that. We will bring back respect for people who put their lives on the line to keep us safe. We do that. We just don't want to get shot in the process. We will support mandatory strict minimum sentences for all assaults involving serious injury to law enforcement officers. Get them boys to storm the Capitol first. Show me an example of what you mean. We will strengthen qualified immunity and legal protections for law enforcement officers to protect them from frivolous lawsuits. So I'm questioning if they're calling the murder of an innocent, unarmed civilian. So I ain't gonna say innocent, someone who committed a crime or an offense that was unarmed. The killing of them, is that it? The execution of them is frivolous? Is that what you're saying to me? I'm not feeling any of that. We will demand a nationwide crackdown on theft and violent crime by imposing stiffer penalties so we can restore law and order to our cities and streets. Well, history has shown that jails and locking people up for minimum sentences does not do anything to curb crime. It doesn't work. People are still going to, and if you really want to address crime, you would address the reason why people end up doing some of the things that they do, but you don't want to talk about that. We will force prosecutors to prosecute. Well, how do you do that? I thought it was local jurisdiction. I thought y'all didn't want big government all up in everybody's business. I thought that's what we were talking about here, right? As present, many prosecutors in big cities, hint, hint, targeting, hint, hint, are allowing criminals to go free with no justice, and they are doing it on purpose. Donald Trump still ain't been locked up. We will make it a federal crime for any prosecutor, including the U.S. Department of Justice, to pursue prosecution based on political ideology. We will eliminate no-knock warrants. Oh, that's good. We will eliminate no-knock warrants in any case that does not involve violent crime. Well, I'll be damned. There's one thing so far that I can agree with. We will increase penalties for spousal abuse and future failure to pay child support. See, locking people up for not paying child support, I still am not a fan of that, right? I just can't get with that. Because if you lock them up, how they gonna pay? Does that make any sense to anybody? We will enact Marsy's Law, which ensures victims of crimes have right and constitutional protections equal to those who commit the crime. We will oppose every attempt to deny our Second Amendment freedoms and will defend our gun rights always at all costs. So I want you to understand, Black people, you can have a gun, but if a police officer shoots you because you lawfully have a gun, you cannot sue for retribution. I want everybody to be clear on this, because that's what they talking about. That's number 3. All right, let's go on to number 4, immigration. Nations have borders. We should give that a try. He's such a clown. President Trump, and whenever you start a sentence off with President Trump's, first of all, he's not the president. He is the former president. And so there's a typo in this information here. Former President Trump's plan to build a wall was right. We welcome those who want to join us in building the American dream. I'm not going to do that because that is a lie. That's a lie. We are a stronger nation because our nation's immigrants, but immigration without assimilation makes us weaker. Assimilate to what? Assimilate to what? Why do I have to assimilate to anything? Why can't I just be me in a nation of immigrants? And if we're going to assimilate to anything, can we assimilate to the First Nations? No, we don't want to do that. Okay. No one will ever enter without our permission. So you're going to check everybody, people, even visitors from Europe? No, you won't. We lock our doors at night, not because we hate the people outside, but because we love the people inside and want to keep them safe, whatever. Many potential immigrants love America. Those who don't will not be allowed to come here. This is our country, and no one has the right to come to our country. This dude, y'all, I want to read all this stuff to y'all, and I want y'all to understand this is why we have to galvanize. I hope you are as outraged about hearing this stuff as I am. Immigrants will not be eligible to collect unemployment benefits or welfare for the first 7 years after arriving in the United States. We will stop incentivizing people to come to America to receive government benefits. We have plenty of welfare recipients. We need productive citizens instead. Well, see, what he's not mentioning is that most of the immigrants that come here are productive. They come because these, migrant workers, or you have some of our tech people, you have a whole bunch, because we're not actually educating our kids for the tech world. Let's just go there. But they're also taking jobs that most Americans just don't want. They are being productive. And how about you stop incentivizing companies to take advantage of these laborers? Stop it. We will strip all federal funding from sanctuary cities. Again, local control. I thought they were supposed to have local control. I thought they were down with local control. We will oppose all comprehensive immigration reform measures until we stop the lawlessness on our border and our border is secure. And I noticed that they're only talking about the southern border. They ain't saying nothing about the northern border. We will oppose cultural segregation. We believe in the melting pot, where people from many backgrounds go all in on becoming Americans, our nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. But we're not talking about justice for women with their reproductive rights. We're not talking about justice for our formerly incarcerated people, making sure that they have their voting rights. What they want to do is again, whitewash us. Please understand, they want us to all be one, think the same, walk in lockstep. Doesn't this sound familiar to you? Haven't you ever heard this before? Let's go to number 5, the economy and growth. Socialism is un-American, except for that Social Security, garbage pickup, things like that. But don't worry about that. He didn't mean any of that, because never mind. We will stop it. We will shrink the federal government, reduce the government workforce by 25% in 5 years, sell government buildings and assets, and get rid of old, slow, closed, top-down, government-run everything system we have today. We shall see. Socialism will be treated as a foreign combatant, which aims to destroy our prosperity and freedom. Senator Bernie Sanders, he just got through saying, you are a foreign combatant. Your First Amendment rights, again, gone. Other than essential core functions, government shall not be doing anything that private sector can do better or cheaper. They won't do it better. They won't do it cheaper. They won't. We will apply the do it better test. If American businesses can serve the American people better and cheaper, the government will get its work from them. No government assistance unless you are disabled or aggressively seeking work. If you can work but refuse to work, you cannot live off the hard work and sweat of other fellow Americans. That's what rich people do. Don't they live off the sweat of other people who generate revenue for their companies? I'm sorry. Okay, whatever. We require truth in governing. If government passes a law that does not achieve what it promised, the program will be shut down. Okay. We will balance the federal budget. It can be done. Yes, Democrats did it. If Congress does not pass a budget, members of Congress do not get paid. Full stop. So this portion of his plan probably isn't going to go through. I just want you to know that. Other than disaster relief, the federal government must stop spending money on non-essential state and local projects until the budget is balanced. Wow, that's deep. You know that Build Back Better and infrastructure plan and how there's money coming to the states and your local communities. He's saying we don't want you to have any of that. Eliminate truly non-essential government employee positions because they are non-essential. Implement the line item veto. It works in state capitals. It will work in Washington. Expedite all federal permit applications to be granted or denied within 30 days. All Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half Americans pay no income. I need y'all to understand something. There's a reason why some of our low income people and people who are living below the poverty line are not paying taxes. They can't afford it. They're doing what they can to live off the paycheck to paycheck on the money they get now. So we are literally going to raise taxes on people who have or are below the poverty line. That's what he wants to do. Prohibit debt ceiling increases absent a declaration of war. So basically, he wants us to default on debt. Yeah, that's what he wants us to do. He wants us to default on debt. Number 6, government reform and debt. Many government agencies should be either moved out of Washington or shuttered entirely. Enact term limits for Washington ruling class, 12-year limits for Congress and government bureaucrats, exceptions for national security reasons only. Okay, well, who determines that? Begin paying debt down, politicians stealing from our future and stealing from all of us right now with inflation. Come on, dog. Y'all act like inflation. There's many reasons why we're in inflation, and some of it is because the previous administration didn't try to handle the pandemic, and you got that white-on-white crime happening in Europe with Russia invading Ukraine. So the supply chain is all jacked up. There's a lot of reasons why there's inflation. Forbid politicians from becoming lobbyists and cashing in on their public service. All right, I can get with that. Eliminate federal programs that can be done locally. Okay, wait. Eliminate federal. There are a lot of things that the state and local governments do because they get funding from the federal government. I just want to throw that out there. Most government agencies out of Washington and into the real world. Washington ain't the real world. Oh, okay. All right. I want to sink that in a little bit. Sell off all non-essential government assets, building and land, and use the proceeds to pay down the national debt. All federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. So let me ask you something. Are y'all comfortable with the idea that Congress can determine whether or not Social Security should be renewed every 5 years? Or how about the Voting Rights Act? It should be renewed every 5 years. Or Medicare and Medicaid should be reviewed every 5 years and determined and voted on whether or not it should continue. Y'all, some of this is scary. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this is a disaster waiting to happen. They want everyone to be in poverty. And what happens when people are in poverty? People in poverty, they become desperate and they do things in a desperate way. They no longer are rational in doing things rationally. If government fails to comply with the law, citizens must have the right to sue or force them to comply. No government employee can make more than 5 times the national median individual income. We will bar the federal government from using our tax dollars for advertising campaigns. So like, for example, they're saying that they will not allow the federal government to advertise when it's open enrollment for the ACA to let people know, or no advertising for the vaccines and where they can go get them. You see how crazy that is? We will drastically simplify the tax code and eliminate advantages for those who can afford tax lawyers and lobbyists. Okay. We will immediately cut the IRS funding and workforce by 50%. Well, you know what this is about, right? You understand if you cut the IRS, what this does is it has less people to go and audit those folks that can hide money in places that the rest of us don't know about. So if we don't have enough people in the IRS to police the bad actors are going to get away with it, and we're not going to actually be able to collect any of the money that we really need. So I want you to understand what this is saying to y'all. We will allow veterans to choose how they access health care, either through the VA or private providers. Force Congress to issue a report every year telling the public what the plan to do when Social Security and Medicare go bankrupt. Well, if you collect the taxes that you are supposed to from the wealthiest people, then those social safety nets will not perish. But the thing of it is when you write stuff like this, you're not actually thinking about the people that it's impacting. And that's what's scary about people like the Republicans when they get in charge, when they become in charge of everything and they gain control of everything. All right, so let's go to number 7. Fraud-free elections, because, not like we haven't already had fraud-free elections. They don't believe we can win based on their ideas. This literally is them telling on themselves. The Republicans, do not believe they can win based on their ideas. So they want the game in the system and legalize voter fraud. There was no voter fraud. There was absolutely no voter fraud. We will fight for maximum voter participation and 0% voter fraud. Well, okay, voter ID requiring a voter to validate their identity must be law. Democrats support requiring ID to get a COVID test, vaccination card, or enter a restaurant. All arguments against voter ID are in favor of fraud. That is a lie. That is a lie. It's a bald-faced lie. And they put it in their plan. Ballot harvesting, meaning Native Americans who don't have mailboxes on their reservations cannot collect all of the ballots and deliver them all at once, which Democrats favor and which allows politicians, political operatives, and activists to collect and clone ballots. But most ballots have barcodes on them. Hello. Ballots can only be submitted to polling locations by voter or or the post office, but heaven forbid if you have some type of issue with mobility, no ballots that show up after election will be counted ever. So that means the joy is going to step down from the post office, and we're going to, get the postal office running like it was before. And again, he's attacking Democrats in this. The Democrats favor using your taxpayer money to finance political campaigns. No serious person will ever favor this. It must never happen. I don't think you can use government funds for campaigns. I think the FEC strictly prohibits that now. Counting of ballots must be done in full public view expeditiously and continue without pause until all votes have been tabulated. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't think the poll workers should be intimidated by a bunch of rowdy, January 6th type people with guns. That's not cool. There must not be same-day registration, as this does not allow elections officials to verify the validity and accuracy of voter information. If I'm not mistaken, Colorado does same-day voter registration, and they've not had any issues either. So this is just, again, they're putting a roadblock into being able to cast your vote. That's all that is. No one should be automatically registered with their consent or knowledge, as this opens the way for multiple registrations by the same individual and registration of ineligible voters. No. No. Unmanned or unmonitored ballot boxes in public areas to collect unlimited ballots must be prohibited. So they want to get rid of the drop boxes. No American citizen can be denied I want to go back to that one for a minute. They have unmanned money dispensers. They have you can put your money in and take your money out of an unmanned dispenser, but you can't do the same thing at a ballot box? Come on, y'all. No American citizen can be denied their sacred right to vote or be given special voting privileges by a race, religion, zip code, or ethnic origins. I'm sorry, but the way you guys at the state are crafting some of these laws, they're making it very difficult for people to cast a vote. And even though they say, and the other thing is they say this stuff, but they don't really mean it in the way that they want us to mean it. They're not talking about me and you. They're not talking about brown and black people. They're talking about marginalized communities. They're not. All right, let's go to the fun part. Let's go to family. Because how you choose to exist in the world, they want to regulate. The nuclear family is crucial to civilization. It is by God's design. And it must be protected and celebrated. To say otherwise is to deny science. The fanatical left seeks to devalue and redefine the traditional family as they undermine parents and attempt to replace them with government programs. We will not allow socialism to place the needs. This is horrible. No federal programs or tax laws will reward people for being unmarried or discriminate against marriage. Even though many single moms heroically do the job of raising a family, as my mom often had to do, children need to and deserve both parents, and government should not be shy about saying so. Notice he said both parents. Some of those people, those both parents are same gender. Oh, but never mind. We're not going there. We're not going there. Families are crucial in raising young men and women of character and responsible members of society. The best form of governing our society is not government, it is our family. Abortion is a tragedy. We must make adoption accessible and affordable. Well, first of all, there are still over 400,000 kids between the ages of infancy and 21 in the foster care system. I want to understand, where are all these parents that are going to be adopting these kids? There's 400,000 of them out there already that are in the system that will end up aging out of the system. Where are all these people? I want them to line up and show me themselves, because there's 400,000 kids in America, and it's disproportionately high among Black and brown kids. Stop acting like there's a whole bunch of people out here that want to adopt children. There's not. Okay, we currently make it very expensive for prospective parents to adopt, even though many kids desperately need families. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading anymore. We must defend the American family from societal elements that erode it. What does that mean? We must enforce existing federal obscenity laws. Our society has almost given up on demanding decency. We must aim higher, because nothing says decency than voting for someone who said, I grabbed him by the You know what I'm getting ready to say. We must protect our children from the explosion of pornography and cyber predators. I have no problem with that. The FCC must hold online platforms and broadband providers hold online platforms and broadband providers accountable for not adequately providing tools for parents to keep this trash out of their homes. We will make it impossible for deadbeat dads to avoid paying child support, beginning with paternity. They will either pay or go to jail with no other options. That makes no sense at all. It does not help the kid that the father is in jail. It does not help the father if he's in jail. It does nothing but crowd our prison systems. And then now we end up paying for him to be incarcerated. Stop with the stupid already. Stop. And this is the plan, people. I'm reading it to you. This is what they want to do. All right. Gender and science. Y'all ready for this one? Men and women are biologically different, male and female. He created them, but he also created a whole bunch of people in between. I know people don't like to hear that. I know that y'all want to believe that gender is binary, but it is not. There are people who are who were born with genetic differences. And they call them intersex people, and there's multiple variations of that. I am not a scientist. I am not a geneticist. I'm not any of that stuff. But I do know, because I read, that there are people who are somewhere in the middle. I know y'all don't want to believe it. I know y'all don't. But that's because you don't know an intersex person. You don't know what they go through. Anyway, they do the thing about the abortion again. Whether you believe in God or not, as civilized people who accept science, we must protect babies born and unborn. If you believed in science, then you would believe that we are not just male and female. You don't believe in science. You just want to believe in the science that you think is right. Humans are born male and female. There are two genders, and to deny that is to deny science. To deny intersexed humans is to deny science. Senator Scott. No government forms will include questions about gender identity or sexual preference. No doctor will be allowed to perform irreversible surgical or gender-altering procedures on any minor child. There goes parental rights out the window. We will protect women's sports by banning biological males from competing. It is hugely unfair and would erase many of the gains women have made in athletics over the years. So they care about women's sports, but they don't care about the women. Let's be clear. They don't care about women, because if they cared about women, they would give women autonomy over what they do with their bodies. See, now, I want to remind everybody on May 24th, go down to the State House, because they're going to veto the anti-trans bill. Go down there, make your voices be heard, because these people are coming for your very lives. And the idea that he does not mention intersexed individuals in any of this denies science. All right, religious liberty. Y'all ready for this one? Religious liberty. Now, of course, he's attacking Democrats again. The Democratic Party and their big tech allies are not merely secular. They have virtually created a new religion of wokeness. Anytime white people use the word woke, I'm gonna be honest with you, you stole it from the culture, and when y'all use it, y'all bastardize it and don't even understand what it means. But everyone should be woke. Don't you want to have knowledge on what the world is really like? Or do you want us all to be asleep and have our heads buried in the sand and what the reality of life really is, right? They are determined to drive all mentions of God out of public view. No, I want to see all gods. How about God, Yahweh, Allah, Buddha? Bring them on. Bring all the gods. Bring all the gods. America will not be required to go against their core value and belief in order to conform to cultural or government. We will reject both the roots and inherent of cancel culture. They canceling people all the time. Every American will be free to live out their religious conviction in public square. We will forbid government programs for discriminating against the 350,000 religious entities which operate schools, pregnancy resource centers, soup kitchens, drug addiction programs, homeless shelters, and adoption agencies. All social media platforms that censor speech and cancel people will be treated like publishers and subject to legal action. Now, let us be clear. They like when businesses are aligning with them. They don't like it when businesses do not align with them, and they will punish them. But they don't believe, they first told us, they said that that businesses were people and they had First Amendment protections. Now they're saying, no, they don't. And they can't treat their business the way they want to. The hypocrisy in this whole platform is insane. We will require a big tech platform like Facebook and Twitter to receive express consent, not as a condition of use, before using America's personal information. I don't have a problem with that. Big tech platforms will also be required to obtain user consent to sell. I don't have a problem with that. No tax dollars will be used to pay any diversity training or any other woke indoctrination that is hostile to faith. I don't understand how faith could be hostile to diversity. You work that out. Churches and faith-based groups will not be forced to hire employees who disagree with their tenets of conviction. Wow, they're saying that it's okay to discriminate on religious beliefs. They're going to make it okay to discriminate against people for their religious beliefs if their religious beliefs disagree with their. Oh my God, y'all. We will stop investing federal retirement dollars with woke fund managers. What does that even mean? Remember, the Second Amendment was established in order to protect the freedoms. He always skips over the First Amendment. He skips over the First Amendment, but he says, remember, the Second Amendment was established in order to protect the freedoms guaranteed in the First Amendment. But he skips over the First Amendment, which is freedom of religion, when he went back and said companies can discriminate against you because you don't have the same religious belief they do. Does that make any sense to anybody? All right, number 11, the last one. And I'm finally glad that I'm done reading this crap. Don't make a donation. Whatever you do, don't make a donation. America will not be dependent on no other country. Well, we'll just get over the grammar error there. We will conduct no trade that takes away jobs or displaces American workers. Countries who oppose us at the UN will get zero financial help from us. We will be energy independent and build supply chain that will never rely on our adversaries. Okay, I get what you're saying, but okay, all right. We will unapologetically lead the world by example. A world without American leadership would be a very dark world. Oh my God, the narcissism is just spewing out of this man. Just spewing out. Because there's no way any other country could lead, right? No way, no way. Which is one of the reasons why, never mind. That's one of the reasons why Native Americans right now are still struggling with just basic decency in many areas of our country. But hey, whatever, we're the best. Adhere to the new Monroe Doctrine. America will not allow any global enemies such as China, Russia, or radical Islam to grow their presence in our hemisphere. What you gonna do? You gonna control everybody in America and then gonna control everybody outside of America. We will not pay any dues to the United Nations. Shut up. Yes, you are. We will. So he said we're not going to pay any dues to the United Nations or any international organization that undermines the national interests of the United States. But we are seeing right now how the United Nations and NATO are having an impact on making sure that Russia, or at least helping Ukraine fight off Russia. People are joining NATO now. They're joining it. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to be a part of a global community where we can protect each other, right? Our military would not be used as peacekeeping force. Okay, try that again. Until there's something that you want, a natural resource somewhere else that you want, and you'll start a war and go get what you want. Nation building does not work. We will not waste our treasure or troops on it. I wish we would never do it. It's not our job to go tell other people how they should live. Good for you. We will always defend our allies, starting with Israel. Okay. We will I just wish that if you're going, I understand we want to protect Israel, but there are other people who want to be protected from Israel. I'm just saying. I am not, don't call me an anti-Semite. I am not an anti-Semitic person. However, just because, it's not always right. It's not always right. We will treat our enemies like enemies. Okay. No adversarial foreign government or corporation controlled by an adversarial foreign government can purchase American land. The weather is always changing. We take climate change seriously, but not hysterically. We will not adapt nutty policies that harm our economy or our jobs. So basically he's saying the future of our planet is not worth the money that the profits that companies make. That's what he's saying. The weather is always changing. We take climate change seriously. No, you don't, because you don't put it above the economy and you don't put it above jobs. Does it matter what the economy looks like or if there's jobs in if the planet is dead? Does it matter? No. We will gradually end all imports from communist China until a new regime honors basic human rights and freedoms. Good luck with that, because pretty much everything you're not going to use a cell phone, not going to use a computer, not going to put on tennis shoes. You're right. We will build supply chains that rely solely on American workers and allies. I wish it were a possibility. It's not. We will not be at the mercy of enemies for medications or any essential commodities. We will terminate any trade deal that takes away American jobs. America will be energy independent. Okay, I read that because I felt like it was important that we all heard what this silly plan is. Guys, this election cycle, I want all of us to get galvanized. I want us to understand why we are doing this, why I get on the show and I talk for an hour, or I have candidates on, or I reach out to people and I ask them to come on, is because people like this. People like this.
What are Republicans for?
Republicans seem to have no solutions, just rhetoric.
Some of my colleagues are more about stating the obvious, not finding solutions.
While the Republicans took a walk, the Republicans had no plan.
A Republican Party that hadn't done a damn thing.
We have real answers. They don't.
What is the Republican plan?
I'm Rick Scott. We've put together a plan to rescue America after Republicans win this year. But official Washington won't like this plan, but you will. Read it for yourself at rescueamerica.com. I approve this message and this plan because I want my country back. How about you?
He wants his country back, people. Who took it? Where'd it go? Who's got it hostage? Give him his country back. No, this is that same white nationalist rhetoric that came about years ago. It's not anything new. And if we do not show up to the polls, help each other elect Democrats, get behind Democrats and show your support for Democrats. If you do not get behind people and help them, then we will be living under this regime of nonsensicalness. We will be forced to adhere to laws that are counter to who we are. We will be forced to have to listen to people tell us who we are and who we should be and how to regulate our bodies. I know it's probably a boring show and I apologize for that, but real talk, this is what it's all about. This is why we're here. We want to make sure that we are creating a nation that everyone, no matter what they think, and how they believe, have the opportunity to live their life the way they want to and not by the way someone else says they should do it. And that's what they're trying to do. They want to indoctrinate our children into believing that we are all the same when we are not. Many of us are different for different reasons, and there's nothing wrong with being different. There's nothing wrong with it. We should embrace difference. I was up in Huntington County on Monday night. I had a chance to sit down and talk about how to digital fundraising, which is one of the things I love doing. And I picked up this little sign. I love this sign, and I have a bumper sticker that goes with it. I've had enough. I've had more than enough. I am ready for us to take back our state house. I'm ready for us to hold on to the United States Senate. Well, we don't really have it. They got the majority. We just happen to have the speakership or the Senate leadership. I want us to take it back over. I want us to fix this stuff that we got going on. But I also want everyone to live the life that they want to live in peace. And the way that these guys are talking, they don't want that for you. All right. Indiana's own Dana Black. I ran down the rescue plan from the Republicans. Guys, look at it for yourself. Share it with your friends so that you can get people fired up and galvanized. We're going to run on Roe v. Wade, and we're going to run on this silly ass rescue plan because it's not for us and it's not for who we are. Get fired up. Show up to your meetings. Show up for these candidates. Knock some doors. Do whatever you got to do to elect Democrats in 2022. All right, y'all. Holla at y'all next time. Peace.
Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.